The Country Club, the Concert Inn, All Seasons Restaurant, Presumes Auto Body, Cumberland Farms, West Construction, Jordan Health and Wellness, Hawaiian Gardens. Those are some of the buildings in town that are over 5,000 square feet. According to Stop and Shop's view of the world, if they want to make any changes or improvements in their buildings, they're going to have to come in to the town, not just get a building permit from Tom Milius. They're going to have to go and get something called a Section 6 finding, no matter what the cost of the work, no matter that they may already be serving beer and wine and food, but they want to put in an extra service bar or change the color of their paint on the outside. That's what Stop and Shop's position reduces itself to, and it's simply not right. I don't know why the Stop and Shop folks don't want you to go ahead and decide this. We're comfortable in having you decide it. We think you can decide it. We think that you can decide that Tom Milius was right. And we don't think that you will agree with Stop and Shop that you want to set a precedent in Halifax that every time any one of those 26 owners of the structures over 5,000 square feet wants to make any change in use or structure, they have to go in and get a finding under the state zoning code before they can proceed, no matter what Tom Milius decides about whether it's otherwise allowed. Thank you.
People going to this store with the expansion of the groceries. Why would we spend $5 million renovating this building?
It's a good question, and the understanding that I have is that you will see more trips in non-peak hours, and you'll also see customers stay there longer, buy more things, and spend more money during each trip. But in the actual peak hour itself, which is what transportation engineers analyze, because that's how you design intersections, you don't see an increase in that.
Okay, thank you.
One brief point to the board. You know, it's just awfully coincidental that they come up with this traffic study. It uses 5-year-old data. They don't tell you that the first time around, as I pointed out. And now, miraculously, it's less trips. I mean, it's amazing how that works out. I mean, obviously, this fellow is on the payroll of Walmart. They come up here and say, I mean, this is something, you know, we're not naive here. This is the way things happen. They didn't have time to do a correct traffic study, so they go out and they grab this guy and come in and say, you know, help us blow one by the Board of Appeal. And I ask you to focus on that, because you people are savvy people. You know the way the real world works, and that's what's going on here. And that is why, you know, with all due respect, I don't think it's this board's function to take evidence. The function of this board is to determine whether or not the building inspector was right. I'm not being critical of him, but you know, the bottom line is this is a pre-existing non-conforming use, and I, with all due respect, say to you, what you have to do is you have to remand this to the planning board so that both sides can have a traffic expert, and so that both sides can present evidence. And you know, I just ask you not to rely upon evidence that's changing, traffic studies that are changing, building figures that are changing.
I have a question, Mr. Fitz. It's only here at the light.
Sure.
Two different things. First of all, when you first came out, I guess you said, you know, bottom line, the real figures that we're looking at are being provided by Walmart. And we have to base our decisions on their improvement cost, on the interior, on the exterior inspection. They're just giving us a bunch of figures. The figures were presented to our board and provided by Walmart. Do you have figures of the contrary?
No, that isn't what I said. I want if you...
You said that those figures were provided to us by Walmart, so they're Walmart figures.
Yeah.
I'd like to know if you yourself have different figures where you've done estimates. You said their engineers provided those numbers to our board and to the town, to Mr. Milius. Do you have figures that are different?
Well, let me say this.
Other than a blanket statement saying that they're different or they're
No,
biased.
what I had, first of all, I did not say what you suggested I said. What I said was the fact that they are giving you different figures. I didn't accept their figures. I didn't say their figures were accurate. I simply said the fact that they gave different figures should suggest to you that something is amiss. And isn't
Well, do you have different figures that can provide us with figures that?
No, but this isn't the forum for me to provide
So that was
figures
just
to
a
you.
blanket statement then that you don't have an awful lot of reliability on the figures that they provide.
Well, how can you, let me ask you.
But you have nothing basically yourself to provide our board with that would suggest that they are different from what the engineers, cost engineers had provided our town.
Well, let me suggest this to you. Originally, they said the alteration figures were 200,000. They came in and then they came in and said, oh no, they're 917,000.
Right, with figures that were
That's-
presented by bids.
Well,
So they were providing us.
that's
the same thing, I guess my point is then, the same thing with the traffic. You're telling us that the figures are projected based on 5-year-old traffic figures. Do you or do your firm have a different traffic study that we could look at to say that they're not the same or reliable figures for the traffic study for the number of trips? You said you didn't have, a whole lot of
This isn't the forum for that, with all due respect. I suggest the forum is at the planning board, because what your zoning bylaws say is they say it's the planning board that is supposed to make these determinations. And as you know, the planning board makes these determinations based on evidence presented by both sides. So at the planning board, that's with all due respect the forum where they'd come in with their traffic experts. Maybe we agree with them. We'll come in with our traffic experts. We'll have the opportunity to scrutinize their figures on the alteration, which have...
But then we don't have any figures though right now, right?
Well, no, because it's not the forum. The forum is at the planning board. This is, the purpose here is for you people as a matter of law to find, hopefully, that this is a pre-existing non-conforming use. And it has to be...
It's currently closed.
And it has to be, it has to be remanded for at the very least a Section 6 finding. We have a Supreme Court case, the highest case in the state, saying that that's the law, and I'm simply here asking the board to enforce the law.
I'm going to try to do this without throwing any more mud in the water here. Originally, I never offered up that this was in fact a non-conforming structure. I was never convinced of that based on my interpretation of the bylaws as they apply. I did, however, say that based on the fact that if it was a non-conforming structure, the 50% rule I thought was covered. I don't believe that the permanent major structural changes to the building crossed the threshold. I think what we're really talking about here is a pre-existing non-conforming use assertion from the people at Stop and Shop. I have also contended that it is not a pre-existing non-conforming use. It is in fact a conforming use. We never had a special category for grocery stores. It always fell under the retail use, which is still conforming for that district. Now, if you want to take this to the absurd, and I'm not trying to be glib, if Stop and Shop was really concerned about our bylaws and the enforcement of our bylaws and the integrity of the town, they'd be appealing the decision to cite the Stop and Shop store because we don't have a grocery category. It has always been a retail application. That's why I didn't feel a Section 6 entered into it. I didn't believe it was a substantial change in use. It was not. If you take that we started out as a retail operation, we're still a retail operation. Yeah, the goods have changed, but it's still retail.